So dissecting relationships more as you do so well, you talk about three types of relationships: personal, functional, and strategic. Can you talk about those?
Sure. So personal relationships, it's golf buddies, it's poker friends, it's grad school, or people that are very discretionary. We pick them. We're not sure their relevance in our professional lives, but we love hanging out with these people. So that's fairly easy. That's fairly straightforward. Most people have a lot of those. Functional relationships are people we work with. Let's be honest, people they're not discretionary. You don't necessarily choose who you work with or who your customers or partners may be. They're still safe because of the context of our work together. But a lot of times you may not be that excited about extending your personal life with these folks. Again, most people I meet have plenty of the first two. They're really missing out on the third one, which are your strategic relationships. These are the relationships beyond coaches, beyond mentors, beyond great bosses. They see the best version of you. They push you to constantly raise the bar on who you are, how you show up, not just how you perform, but the human being that you become and the manager and the leader that you become. So Randy, if you think about your background, beyond learning how to sell at EMC, I've heard you talk about leaders that you had that taught you how to be a servant leader, or leaders you had who taught you how to be a relationship investor. Those are those strategic relationships that elevate us, that raise the bar on us. And those are the ones that we really want to nurture. We need to nurture, and not enough people I meet truly have those strategic relationships.
Yeah. And I'd throw in, there's, a lot of buzzwords you can throw in, but I think, just being authentic. And I think, treating people how you want to be treated. And, I'd always say the pyramid's upside down. I work, I may have 4 or 5 levels between me and an individual contributor, but, I work for whoever that individual contributor is. And if you can do that, then, a lot of great things come out of it, as opposed to, so these, people that are just up in the ivory tower and don't get in the streets and don't build the relationships and don't do the right things.
And regrettably, particularly not just in the tech sector, but tenure tends to disconnect a lot of leaders from that front row. So you've been there. You've been a rep. You've been a district manager. You've been a regional manager. You've been a VP, area VP. You've been a VP of sales. You've earned that chief revenue officer role today. That should not keep you from getting on a plane and going to that remote rep and going on sales. I don't know about you. I still love, years later, I still love sales calls, and I still love to, go out with those. Go out with reps, go out to the channels, go out and get this. Yeah. What the profession we've chosen is not a spectator sport. It's not a, looking at a bunch of spreadsheets from, headquarters and telling that guy in Phoenix or that person in Scottsdale or, Dallas, get on a plane and go see them, go spend time with them. And a lot of leaders, unfortunately, have gotten away from that frontline opportunity.
And guess what? Because all this Zoom and COVID crap, customers are just prospects are starved for that FaceTime, right? They want to get out of the house. They want to go meet for coffee or drink or lunch or dinner, whatever. There's no time easier than now to get the face-to-face time, because it used to be, I'm booked. I don't have dinners, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they grew up, for those that are senior that you're trying to sell to, that have been around working for, 20 plus years, they're used to going out. They're used to, whether you want to call it entertain or not, but that relationship building out of the office, there's no time better than now to do that, right?
I'm doing a sales kickoff keynote on this relationship economics for a client, and their head of global sales said, our sales reps and our customers have all become way too accustomed to Zoom.
Yeah. Oh, it's an easy button. Oh,
that's right. So what I really want the audience to hear from you is to get out of their offices. And there's still some clients, some companies that don't allow visitors in their buildings. That's okay. As you said, meet them for coffee, meet them for lunch, meet them for dinner, go back out to sporting events.
Oh, yeah.
But that ability to reconnect and re-engage, how do you shake hands through Zoom? How do you look someone in the eye? I mean, is the video stuck? Like, did my video just go out, or is there somebody there? So it's imperative that we do not forget that innate need for human touch. We have that need for real connections, and that's who people are going to buy from.
And it comes back to inspecting, right? I mean, you'd say, okay, how many sales calls, what's face-to-face, what's Zoom? And now some leaders like, oh, I don't know if I can do that or not. I mean, that's crap, right? You got to have, here's the expectations, here's the behaviors that we want, here's what a player is if you want, there's that, and a lot of other things that you have to do. And then now you got, I was talking to Mark Stevenson yesterday, who, a great CRO, and he said he uses Gong because he can go for a lot of great things, but the context of this to actually go back, go and look at, people's calendars, and he can actually, for the ones that are Zoom, he knows they're Zoom because they're, being recorded. And then the ones that are, face-to-face saying, okay, really, what's going on? How much time are they, spending selling? How much time are they spending face-to-face? Crazy. Anyway, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it is a fantastic learning, growth, coaching opportunity to, we got 3 years of this global pandemic to make up for. So I'm packing my calendar with, I know you're thinking, I don't need more coffee meetings, lunch meetings. I'm going back out to events. I'm going back out to meet people, and it's people you haven't seen in several years now. So really immersing yourself in those in-person visits, I think, would go a long way in getting all of us back to reconnecting on a real, authentic level.
Yeah, awesome. So we have a great question from Tim. So full disclosure, he's a key executive at Convertive, and is active in the RevOps space, as are you, but have a lot of great customers where they've really kind of helped figure out how can they best leverage that sales tech stack platform, help best leverage the data that's there. So as a follow-up, when I mentioned the prep, we definitely got to get you guys to connect, and Jen. But anyway, Tim says, great episode, and Relationship Economics is currently shipping to my house. All right, you got to.
There's one copy. One copy.
There you go. All right. Looking forward to reading. Curious to hear more about how you got into offering RevOps consulting. That I do as a follow-on. Maybe talk about what you actually do there with Jen.
Sure. So Tim, thank you again for the purchase. Appreciate that you find the book. So I got to tell you, we became a Salesforce kind of. I've been using Salesforce for a whole bunch of years, our CRM, and had a sharp young woman that went and got we got certified as. We would go and implement and integrate and install and really figure out Salesforce for a number of clients. And we did that probably 10 years ago. So the tech stack has always been part of the conversation. Increasingly, what we found is that a lot of our clients were using less than 10% of what these truly enterprise platforms are capable of. Number one. Number two, we found disparate data sources and lack of real seamless integration between them, just in conversations. Number three, Jen was director of kind of RevOps for one of my client companies. She was leaving, and I said, would you be open to come and working with me and doing this together? Because I was having those conversations with leaders and didn't really have a solution. So she joined us about 18 months ago. Couldn't be more proud of the work that she's doing with some fantastic clients. And what we've established is now is a baseline audit. And within 30 days, we go in. I don't want to be a battalion. We're a SEAL Team 6. Get in. We quickly we get admin privileges. We look at what the client company is doing. And we've identified frightening kind of missteps. Good people, good intentions. Somebody brought it in. They're no longer with the firm. Other people don't know what to do with it. Imagine 1 million records in a Salesforce instance, whereas 600,000 of them had not been touched in the past 18 months. Imagine a smaller company with 600 C-suite leads that they paid for, and think of the cost to get those that had never been contacted. Imagine Fortune 50 companies who had downloaded the free version of your tool or platform or technology that nobody had bothered to go and follow up with. So it's not just the tech stack, it's processes, it's capabilities, and it is unequivocally a highly integrated, tightly integrated tech stack. And that's a lot of the work that we're doing. So if you're typically an A and B round, we offer RevOps as an outsourced service where we do the whole thing for you. More mature, later stage companies, we become an extension of their team. For one client, we own just their Salesforce. For another client, we're using Tableau and doing a lot of data analysis from disparate sources. So that's how we got into it. And it's been, Jen and her team have done a phenomenal job. And I'm really excited about, proactively growing that practice for us and partnering with others. Randy speaks highly of you guys and would love to learn more about what you're doing.
Definitely. So thanks for that, Tim. And from John Carroll, we have, you both look great and energized for the new year. Randy, keep rocking the beard. So complete sidebar, my wife Janet wanted me to shave the beard. It was big and scruffy. And then she said jokingly, hey, why don't you post it on LinkedIn and see what they say? I'm like, that's a great idea. So Tucker helped me, and I think we're just about 50,000 views, and we had some hilarious comments there. But anyway, John goes on to say, Nour, I think I'm on auto renew for any book you publish. Make sure. So you got 2 out of this.
2 copies.
Regarding the discussion, whatever business you are in, relationship building, truly interpersonal relationships, which are necessary for any high-end sale, is making a comeback, lots of events and travel in my Q1 itinerary. So, John, that's great. And I'd say lead by example. Nour?
Yeah, just a quick comment for the audience. John Carroll is the founder and CEO of Service Council. And what Randy does for the tech sales community, John's doing for global service organizations. And kudos to him. He also exudes that power of relationships. I think he started Service Council as a LinkedIn group. And one of the members comes in and says, I have a problem, or can you help me connect with so-and-so? And the light bulb went off. This really is a community. And this community really would, greatly value connecting them. So they put on a fantastic executive symposium in September in Chicago. If you're in customer service, field service, customer experience, you got to check out Service Council. And it's also a good reminder, Randy, for your audience. I've always believed people fundamentally gather for 2 reasons: content and community. What can I learn that I wouldn't have access to otherwise? And who else will be there? Who else can I meet? Who else can I get to know? Who else can I build a relationship with that I wouldn't otherwise? And that's another fantastic opportunity for every member of the sales community, for every member that's watching or listening. Get out of the home office, get out of the virtual world, and start to re-engage folks. I speak 50, 60 times a year. I did this before the pandemic. I'm picking it back up this year. I attend at least one event a quarter where I have no responsibility whatsoever, and I'm sitting in the audience consuming great content, great sessions, meeting great people, and you feel richer for it. You feel your life is richer because of it.
That's great. John, great to hear you, and it was great meeting you. Nour had an awesome retreat back, I guess it was in the fall, and you're going to be doing more of those, which I think will be fantastic for everybody. So maybe 3 questions here, and maybe we'll be shorter with the answers, and I won't chime in, but I think the audience would love it. So talk about strategic relationship planning.
Any outcome that's critical to your success, get a lot more intentional about the relationships you need, the relationships you have. How do you connect the dots with value add? So in the book, there's literally a blueprint on how to leverage relationships much more strategically to get to your desired outcomes.
Awesome. And we have here from Terry. Good to see you, Terry. Book ordered. Thanks
There's
for
3. I'm up to 3 copies. 3.
Thanks for a great update refresher on the importance of relationship development. I continue to leverage the key learnings from Nour and Randy that started many years ago.
Very kind, Terry. Thank you.
And Terry's a sidebar. Let me know the issue that we're working on before. Let me know if that is set or not. I was meaning to get to you, so kill 2 birds here. What about corporate relationship deficit disorder?
Unfortunately, as I said earlier, not prioritized, not invested in, not taught, not part of many organizations' recruiting, metrics, compensation. We often ask for A and we measure and compensate B. Is there any surprise that people are not investing in the relationships that you need? So, and I had a chance to meet Jim Collins of Good to Great fame. He often talks about, we should ask more often the who questions. Whenever we're faced with a challenge or opportunity, we often think about what should we do and how should we do it. We don't ask enough who questions. I'm going to go one step further. Who do we need? Who do we know? How do we collectively leverage the organization-wide relationships to streamline our access to and opportunities with relationships we need to succeed?
Totally. And, Terry's a renowned channel leader, and I think he's always kind of top, either top one or top few for a channel chief of the year. But, in that channel business, it's, I'm going to say it's all about relationships. But that's, probably number one. And, Terry just does a fantastic job with that. And I know is a great leader for others that follow as well. So next question, what about the 2 a.m. concept?
I love that one. So for the audience, the notion is not all relationships are created equal. Based on depth and relevancy. Some people much better. You have a deeper relationship with them than others. So I looked for any kind of a measure that helped me track that. I couldn't find one, so I built one. It's called the Relationship Value Pyramid. There's 4 levels of depth and relevance. The very pinnacle of the most valuable relationships you have, my supposition is you really could call them 2 a.m, and the first question would be, are you okay? Hopefully you've nurtured the relationship with these people where if you needed $25,000 and money was not an object, they would write you a check or Venmo you this afternoon. So it's about your most valuable relationships that you cannot nurture enough, you can't invest enough, and you certainly don't want to do anything to dilute the credibility, dilute the repute, dilute the value with those individuals. But I call those your 2 a.m. relationships. Awesome. And you have a story around this.
I do.
Yeah. You've got a group of people that you've known for years and you work with in an amazing way. And you guys have invested together. You're on boards together. You see each other on vacations. Your spouses know each other. I would say many of those are 2 a.m. Would you agree? True.
Yes. Or they're 2 a.m. stories because we happen to be still awake together. But it's one of the good things I like about being in Naples. It's kind of like 10 p.m. everything shuts down, so it's kind of self-imposed. But
there you go.
Anyway, so we also have maybe as a final question. For those that are impacted by kind of recent layoffs, you've already talked a lot about kind of how you do your homework and check LinkedIn and kind of things like that. What other suggestions or feedback would you have?
Yeah, I'm going to give them the same thing I did at the beginning of the pandemic. Make a list of your top 100 business relationships and reach out to them and find out how you can be an asset, how you can help them. One of the fundamental laws of business relationships is gratitude and then reciprocity. So if you invest in those relationships, even though you're looking for the job, if you ask, how are you doing? What are you doing? Tell me about your priorities this new year. How can I be an asset? How can I help? At some point, they should say thank you and ask you, what can I do to help you? Glad you asked. I'm exploring my next opportunity. Language is really powerful. You don't want to sound like you're desperate. I'm exploring my next opportunity. Would you be open to me running some ideas by you? Here's what I'm after. Here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? So your next job is not going to come from an ad. It's going to come more than likely from a relationship. You got to get intentional about investing in those relationships, and the reciprocity becomes they help you and they walk you into that next CRO or CMO that you want to work for.
Awesome. And I'll steal a couple snippets from you from way back. But if you're interviewing or you're doing sales calls or anything, early is on time and on time is late, which again I think gets lost with the current generation. And then conveying your interest and value through questions. So instead of bragging or touting about kind of who you are, or what you are, or that you did the research, through intelligent questions, maybe pithy, you would say, really impress them, right? And there's a whole laundry list of other things, but I know you'd be in a violent agreement. Another one that I still work on, especially the podcast, is the ums and ahs, kind of things like that, right? So, you come across very sharp and crisp, but that's always something I'm trying to, I'm always trying to improve on myself.
Absolute agreement. All those are great reminders. And I want to just remind your audience, it's amazing how often we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And common sense isn't often common practice. So a lot of what we've shared, you may know, how proactively are you doing them?
Oh, that's great. So without a final, when you did this before, we'd always ask if there's any PG Randy story.
Are you kidding? One of my favorites was so my family and I were vacationing in Martha's Vineyard. Your son was playing on the summer league, and we met up with a mutual client and friend that you referred to me 10 plus years ago, an executive that I coached, and we all went to a minor league baseball game at Martha's Vineyard and had hot dogs and popcorn, and it was one of the highlights of that trip. We took a group picture, and the mascot of the team is the Sharks, and I've got it framed on my bookshelf right here to remind me of the incredible value of relationships beyond any work that we do together.
Awesome. And I think the same trip, we also connected with Colin Mahoney, who was kind enough to take us out on his boat. So didn't
catch anything, but the boat ride was fabulous.
There you go. I'm sure he probably dropped us off, and then he went and got some. But anyway, Nour, as always, you've been fantastic. So for those that don't have it, relationship economics, and I guess we're going to pop in the link, or you get the link after, something like that. But certainly fantastic, whether you're doing sales kickoffs, you want to do individual coaching in terms of how can you move up in the C-suite. If you've got kind of team or executive retreats that you want to do. Also, he's building with Jen a great retreat center at a fantastic facility, highlighted with some awesome fly fishing by Jen, among some other things. So, all right, looks like we have the book link there. So anyway, Nour, thank you. We have next week, episode number 109, Wendy Kuhn, who's the author of a new book called Strategy to Reality. And I met her through Rick. So Rick, thanks for that. But Nour, can't thank you enough. Thanks.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.